tightrope? Once you're done with this video, you'll be walking like a pro. But first, let me introduce you our 5 test subjects.
Our journey was conducted every Wednesday between 9:30 and 10:30 am over a span of 5 weeks. The environment was incredibly controlled and consistent as it was carried out in an same indoor venue, and the tightrope itself was placed at the same position each week. Thus, there were little to no external factors. The equipment used included the tightrope itself, measuring tape to calculate and keep track of the distance covered, as well as a balancing pole and weights to aid our training. We also removed our shoes when walking the tightrope. In this project, we applied distributed practice, whereby each person is allowed 5 tries on a tightrope before switching to the next person. To keep our test consistent, we had certain rules. In each test, we had to ensure that our toes were in contact with our heels, leaving no gaps in between. Each person had 5 consecutive trials, each with unvarying sequence between members. Lastly, our trials were discarded when we fell the tightrope or when we had large gaps between our toes and heels.
So as you can see from our pre-test video, none of us could barely make the halfway mark, and see how it goes from here.
We have included a few practice variability which consists of regulatory and non-regulatory to improve our tightrope skills. Firstly, we started off by practicing walking on the bench. It provides more stability as it is stationary. With this, we learn to balance our body and walk in the straight line. Secondly, we took alternate steps in between the span of the activity. As shown in the video, May will start with her right leg, her preferred leg forward, and step down after taking 4 steps. She will then start again with her left leg. This is so that she will gain more stability from the weaker leg, and she will learn to control the movement of her left leg. Next, we practice walking with different speeds. When walking slowly, it allows us to practice and maintain our stability as we are about to fall. Whereas walking with a faster speeds, it trains us to maintain the momentum when the balance is strife. And lastly, to produce non-regulatory conditions, we have all the team members and some of our friends to watch the performance for every videos that we have recorded. With the implementation of practice variability, we are slightly more confident to walk on the tightrope.
Our group tried performing multiple skills while practicing walking on the tightrope. The different skills include juggling, throwing the ball through the tape, frisbee, and finally archery on the tightrope. As seen, juggling the bean balls interferes with the process of walking on a tightrope, where we had to concentrate on both the throwing and catching, as well as balancing on the tightrope. No doubt it took us a few tries of practicing the juggling first, before combining the 2 different skills together. By doing multiple skills, it enables us to better retain the memory on how we balance on a tightrope. As shown in the weekly progression graph, we made a significant improvement from our previous session of practicing with the implementation of practice variability and contextual interference.
In the previous weeks, we walked on the tightrope without any balancing assistance or support. As observed, our actions were uncoordinated and our bodies were unstable. This was due to redundant degrees of freedom, whereby we were still unsure and used multiple variations of muscle and joint movements. Firstly, with the support of 2 people standing side by side, which helped us completely freeze our upper body movement. Next, we wanted to closely stimulate to the actual tightrope skills, so we initiated using a pole with weights at the end. This minimized the instability we faced, allowing us to gain more center of gravity. With the reduced degree of freedom, our movements were more restricted and our bodies were more controlled when performing the task. Thus, It enabled us to discover the right muscle synergy needed to complete the distance. To conclude for degree of freedom, we can see the slight progress from the graph. By incorporating the tools to limit our degree of freedom, we were able to walk a little further as compared to the previous weeks.
In line with dynamic systems theory, our body tries to find a stable state when performing a new task. From a change in individual, task, and environment, the relationship between the three interlinks. We adapt to different states, which helps us effectively accomplishing tightrope walking. For example, May finds it easier to complete the distance when she walks in a faster speed, whereas Martyn has to walk slowly to reach the end. This shows that each individual has varying ways of finding a comfortable state to perform the skill. Throughout the weeks of practice and experience, we have found our own approach to complete walking the tightrope. So after 5 weeks of practice, you can see a significant increase in our post-test results. All 5 test subjects had a very significant increase in distance since the first pre-test results, therefore showing that our method of practice works. However, one thing to note is that no matter how far you can walk on a tightrope, you haven't achieved anything if you did not have fun.